Hey guys, in this video we're going to be covering division with remainders, specifically 2-digit numbers divided by 1-digit numbers. Some of these will have remainders, some won't. So this is a good idea to learn if you already know your multiplication tables and you already know some basic division. And we will be getting started with a few problems. So you see here that we have a dividend, which is underneath this little house thing, and we have the divisor, which is on the outside. So in our first example, you have 98 divided by 5. That's another way you would read that, where 98 is the dividend and 5 is the divisor. The dividend is what's being divided. The divisor is what's doing the dividing. So we're going to look at the first example, and this is the acronym that you should know. It's DMSCBR. So we'll go over what it stands for in just a second. For the first 6 problems, we're going to be doing DMSCBR, and then for the last 6 problems, we'll be doing a little bit more simplified math in our heads. So the first step is D, divide. We have to figure out what is 9 divided by 5. So let's cross off the 8 for a second. Let's just think what's 9 divided by 5 first. How many times does 5 go into 9? If you said 1 time, then you're correct. And that's what you're going to put right over the 9, because you're showing that it goes in that place value. If you put in another place value, it might be wrong. The next step is M, and M here means to multiply. So we're going to be multiplying 5 times 1. And 5 times 1 is just, see if you can answer that. If you answered 5, then you're correct. And that would be the answer you put right there underneath that place value. Next, we're going to do step 3, which means subtract. So what's 9 minus 5? If you answered 4, then you're correct. The next thing we're going to do is step number 4, which is to check. C stands for check. What we're checking for is making sure that what we've subtracted is less than the divisor. So is 4 less than 5? If it is less than 5, then you can move on to your next step. But you need to make sure of this first. The next step that we're going to do is step number 5, which is B for bring down. We're going to erase the cover up over the 8 because now we're going to be bringing down the 8. We're going to draw an arrow from the 8 down below, and then we're going to write it down there. So now the new number we have is 48. The final step is R for repeat. That means that we're going to repeat the process all the way from the beginning. So the first step, again, what do we have to do? It starts with a D, and if you said divide, then you are correct. So 5 goes into 48 9 times. Next, what does the M stand for? Multiply. If you multiplied 5 times 9, you are correct. The next step is to subtract. So what's 48 minus 45? If you said 3, you're correct. Next, we're going to check, is 3 smaller than 5? Yes, it is. So now we can move on to our next step, which would be to bring down. But since we don't have anything to bring down, we can't go further than this, which means that the R is not going to be repeat, but instead here, remainder. So what is the remainder? What is left over? If you said 3, good job. That's your answer. 19, remainder 3. So now we're going to try it with our next. But first, let's make sure that you remember the remainder always has to be smaller than the 5. So if it is, then you did a good job. Now we're just going to check to see what's going on. 19 times 5 is 95. 95 plus our remainder, and our remainder is 3. So we'll have to do 95 plus 3. And we get an answer of 98. So now we're going to check 98 and 98. That's the same thing, which means that we did all our work correctly. Our quotient and the remainder are all good. We're going to work on this problem now. Again, think of this as a kind of house. So the number inside the house is being divided. The number outside the house, knocking on the door, is doing the dividing. Our first step is, if you remember, what does the D stand for? If you said divide, then you are correct. So now we're going to divide. How many times does 9 go into 5? 0 times. Another way you can express this is with an X. So we're going to use an X just to show that we have a place, to hold, so it doesn't go, nothing goes in that place value. If you put a 0 in the front, it might get a little complicated, so you're not going to worry about that right now. On the side, you can see the place value example, where I just represented where it's the ones place, tens place, hundreds place, and the thousands place, 10,000s place, so on and so forth, but you really only need to know that one. You should make sure that your answer lines up with the place value within. So for instance, 1 is in the tens place, and it lines up over the tens place for 98, and then you have the 9 in the next, which is in the ones place there, and it's right over the ones place for the 8. The remainder is all the way on the side. So now that we have that done, we're going to think about what our next step is. We can choose to put a 0 here, again, to hold the place, but you will never see numbers like 0, 5, 0, 1, 0, 2. No one ever says numbers like that. So our next step is to multiply, but for here, we're just representing that you're multiplying 0 times 9. 0 times 9 is just 0. Next, you're going to subtract. 5 minus 0 equals 5. Check. Remember, C. Is 5 smaller than 9? If it is, then you can move on to our next step, which is to bring down. And we bring down the 8. Good. Next, we're going to repeat the whole process. So D is 4. You tell me. D is 4. Divide. Good job. So we're going to divide 58 divided by 9, and it goes in 6 times. Now we're going to do the M, which stands for multiply. 6 times 9 is 54. Now we're going to subtract. 58 minus 54 is 4. 4, is it smaller than 9? If yes, we can move on. B, is there anything to bring down? Nope, because you're just bringing down empty space. So you're going to do an R for remainder, not repeat. And your remainder is 4. We're going to check our answer on the side. 9 times 6, you should have your multiplication memorized, is 54. 54 plus our remainder is 58. And that is what our dividend is. That's what our number inside the house is. And we're going to focus on the same thing for the next problem. So we have D for divide, and we're going to be dividing 9 divided by 7. How many times does 7 go into 9? In other words, 1 time. Next, we're going to multiply. 7 times 1 is 7. Now we're going to subtract. 9 minus 7 is 2. Now we're going to check. 2 is less than 7. Good. We're going to next bring down the number 3, so it becomes a 23. And what do you do next? You do R for repeat. Now we're going to repeat with division. 23 divided by 7. 7 goes in 4 separate times. 3 separate times. Next we're going to multiply. We multiply 7 times 3 and you have a 21. 23 minus 21 is equal to 2. Now we're going to check, see, is 2 smaller than 7? Yes, so we can move on. Nothing to bring down, so our remainder is just 2. We're going to check on the side. 13 times 7. 1, 2. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 2 is 9. So now we're going to add our remainder to get 93. And that's our original dividend. So you can see if you can do the next few problems on your own, and then we're going to go over it in just a second. See if you can do 4, 5, and 6. Pause the video now if you haven't. And now we're going to work through it together. So these are the solutions. You have 9 remainder 2. Then you have 34, evenly 34. And then for this one, you can see that there's no remainder, but we are never going to add remainder 0 because you never need to add that because it's a given if it's a whole number that divides perfectly. This is 12 remainder 3. So if you got those answers, good job. And if you did not, try going back and seeing where you made a mistake. You should also be sure that you're checking your work at the very end to make sure that it adds up to the number in the dividend. Again, here you can kind of see the place values match up. Nothing goes over 3. Which, by the way, that just is me telling you that you don't need to put the 0 over the 6, before the 6 that is, because it's counterintuitive, you don't need to. This with mental math. If you're not familiar with how to do the other one, be more confident with that and then come back to this. So you're just going to start off with all this DMS-CBR, but inside your head. So your first goal is to do just 5 divided by 4 in your head. 5 divided by 4, or how many times is 4 going to 5? And that is just going to be, let's see, feel free to pause the video here if you need to work it out. So it goes in one time. Now we're going to do the M in our head, which is multiply. 4 times 1 is 4. We're going to do subtract in our head. 5 minus 4 is equal to 1. So then we're just going to put the 1, in between the 7 and the 5. So you can see it right there. 17 is now the new number we're working with. So this is what bring down would be an original. Now we're just going to go back. We're going to repeat. 17 divided by 4 is 4. You have a remainder of your subtracted, which is remainder 1. So you can kind of see how that works with DMS-CBR. It's just much, much simpler to do it in your head, and you have a lot less work to show. We're going to check on the side, 14 times 4. See if you can solve this on your own. This is 56, because 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 1 is... Now you have a remainder. 56 plus 1 is 57, and that's the answer we got. We're going to do the same thing for the mental math for the next one. So our first step is to divide. What's 2 divided by 8? How many times is 8 going to 2? No time, so we're just going to put an X. Don't put a 0 because it might complicate things, but you're still dividing now the whole number, 29 divided by 8, because you couldn't do 2 divided by 8. So 29 divided by 8 is 3 remainder something, because 8 times 3 is 24, and so it goes in 3 times. So you have to figure out what's 29 minus 24. See if you can do that in your head. You should be able to, but if you can't, you can write it down if you need to. But 29 minus 24 will give us our remainder because there's nothing else to bring down after that. And the way that you can tell is in your head, you'll know that 24, even though it is a bigger jump to 29 and the next multiple of 8, 32 is not, it needs to be smaller than because it can never be greater. Because if we did 8 if we had 4 remainder something, it would have to be 3 remainder 5, because the remainder is what's left over, and you're not going to have anything left over if you go over. So this one is an interesting problem. You can see it's an even number being divided by 2, and all even numbers are divisible by 2. So your first step is to divide, and you're going to do this in your head. It goes in 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is just 6. You should know that. And so it comes out to an even 36. You can do the multiplication on the side to check your work, which you'll see adds up to 72. And for the problem we just did, 8 times 3, you should know is 24. 24 plus a remainder of 5 gives us 29. And that's a pretty simple solution. See if you can do the next few on your own. Pause here if you have not already. And we're going to check our work. So 5 divided by 4 for the first one is what you're going to do, which gives you a 1. Your leftover is 15. 15 divided by 4 is 3. Remainder is a 3. You can see that the remainder is less than the divisor. Next, 99 divided by 5. 5 goes in 1 time. There's a leftover 4. 49 divided by 5 is 9. Remainder 4. Yes. And you can check 13 times 4 is 52. 52 plus 3, which is our remainder, is 55, which is our dividend. Here, 19 times 5 is equal to 95, and then plus our remainder 4 gives us 99, which is, again, the answer that we want, because that's our dividend. The last one that we have is 82 divided by 7. 7 goes in 1 time, then you have left over 12. 12 divided by 7 is 1. Remainder 5. So that's your final answer, and you can do that on the side. 11 times 7, you should know it's in your head. Just plain old 77, plus our remainder, which is 5, is equal to 82. So if you got all those, great job. If you're still a little stuck, try all the way from the beginning and see how well you do.